If you grew up reading car magazines or sites, it was always a special occasion when American muscle cars and pony cars faced off on their pages. Even if you were into the import scenes, hot rods, or off-roaders, you probably stopped in your tracks when you came across a story pitting a Ford Mustang GT against a Chevrolet Camaro SS or, in recent years, often a Dodge Challenger RT. Sadly, those days are disappearing quicker than the fuel in a Challenger Hellcat's tank. Ford, having flirted with killing its pony car long before doing so was cool, has emerged as the most steadfast in its commitment to its contender, the Mustang. Rather than the ritual sacrifice of its gas-fed icon for an EV, Ford expanded the family with the Mustang Mach-E electric SUV, taking things in a new direction without abandoning the old way. The 2024 Mustang GT Performance Pack we have on hand, part of a new for 2024 Mustang lineup, is further proof in the hoof pudding and can trace its roots directly back to the original 1964.5 pony car. There is a big 5.0-liter V8 up front, rear-wheel drive, a limited slip differential, and a 6-speed manual. Toss in Magna Ride adaptive dampers and sticky rubber. What else do you need? For a long time, the Camaro served as the Mustang's foil. In some ways that was the Chevy's destiny. Developed at a rapid pace as GM's response to the popular new 1965 Mustang, the Camaro first hit the streets for 1967, offering up a more muscular appearance and hotter performance than the Mustangs of the day. We wasted little time in comparing it to the full Mustang and Plymouth Barracuda line. The result was a tie, but since then the Chevy has often outgunned the Mustang in power and handling, and on our pages, but regularly lost the sales war. In 2003 Chevrolet discontinued the Camaro to concentrate on more profitable, higher volume SUVs and pickups. It came back in 2010 and received a Car of the Year winning update for 2016. Things stayed good until they didn't. Chevy announced this year that it's discontinuing the iconic pony car for the second time, with vague promises that the nameplate will come back in the future. Sources tell us the next Camaro will return as a 4-door electric sedan. Still, we asked Chevrolet to let us send the Camaro SS off with a final comparison test against the Mustang, but just like every other time we've asked since 2019, the brand told us none was available. The Dodge Challenger was always a latecomer. Historically never quite as beloved as the Camaro or Mustang, it flipped the script when the current generation arrived in 2008 after a 25-year hiatus. Much in the same way enthusiasts speak fondly of the 1965 Mustang and 67 Camaro, the same will be said for the 2008 to 2023 Challenger, especially the monstrous 707+ horsepower Hellcat-powered variants offered since 2015. But that doesn't make the end of the line for the Challenger, and the related Charger sedan, any easier to digest. Dodge, to its credit, at least has more concrete plans for the Challenger's future. It and the Charger will likely soon merge into a single fastback sedan previewed by the Charger Daytona SRT concept. Modern new twin-turbo i6s, a new V8, and EV variants are all in the works. As you'd expect from the brand behind the modern horsepower wars, the current Challenger is going out with a bang. The slew of last call special editions includes this 2023 Challenger Shakedown RT Scat Pack widebody that Dodge sent us to compare against Ford's latest Mustang. For one final time, we simply want to know which pony car is best. Named for the shaker hood it gets, and supposedly not the act Dodge dealers are going to do to desperate customers. The Challenger Shakedown is a choice spec widebody RT Scat Pack TA. It swaps out the Challenger RT's 375 horsepower 5.7-liter V8 for a 6.4-liter V8 producing a healthy 485 horsepower and 475 pounds-to-foot of torque, then adds in 6-piston front and 4-piston rear Brembo brakes, Bilstein electronically adjustable dampers, and Mopar cold air intakes breathing through Hellcat-style air catcher headlights. Inspired by a SEMA show car, the Shakedown also adds vinyl stripes, hood pins, some unique badges, and an air of exclusivity in its 1,000 vehicle run. You can get the Shakedown stripes and shaker hood scoop on regular RT Scat packs, however, a 6-speed manual is standard, but Dodge doesn't keep Challengers so equipped in its fleet, hence our RT Scat pack has an 8-speed automatic. Total sticker for our Challenger Shakedown was $68,800, about the same price Dodge charges for a similarly spec'd non-Shakedown RT Scat pack widebody. If you've paid attention to Mustangs in the past decade, the new for 2024 Mustang GT specs will likely give you a sense of déjà vu. A heavy reskin of the S550 model, this new one is new enough to earn the S650 code name. The GT's 5.0-liter V8 now breathes through twin nostrils in the grille, combining with our test car's active exhaust system to boost power to 486 horsepower. though torque dips 10 pounds to foot versus previous Mustang GTs to 418 pounds to foot of twist. It gets paired with a Getrag sourced 6-speed manual. A 10-speed auto is an option. More work went into revising the Mustang steering, a new rack designed to improve front-end response, brakes, new lead-by-wire, and chassis. The $4,995 performance pack turns up the wick, swapping in a Torsen limited slip rear diff with a more aggressive 3.73-to-1 final drive, 6-piston front and 4-piston rear Brembo brakes, sticky summer tires, additional chassis bracing, and a handful of other niceties. Our car also featured the $1,750 optional Magna Ride dampers on top of the performance pack. Fairly loaded, it's stickers for $61,775. Bragging rights are everything to muscle cars, and it's fair to say we had some expectations as to how things would shake out given the specs. With about 400 pounds on the Mustang, the porkier Dodge surely would finish the quarter-mile staring at the Mustang's new SN95-inspired taillights and 67 Shelby Mustang look-alike rear end. Living up to the old hot rodder's mantra of no replacement for displacement, the Challenger happily proved us wrong. The big 392 Hemi-powered Dodge ripped from 0 to 60 miles per hour 4.0 seconds and through the quarter mile in 12.5 seconds at 112.1 miles per hour. Meanwhile, the 307 Coyote-backed Mustang GT needed 4.3 seconds to hit 60 miles per hour and tied the Challenger's 12.5 seconds quarter-mile time but bested its trap speed at 114.7 miles per hour. Why the disparity? A few reasons. For starters, despite the Mustang's no-lift shift feature, modern automatic transmissions are just faster than humans shifting a manual gearbox. Secondly, check out where the Coyote and Hemi make their power. The Ford is a revver, its horsepower peak hitting at 7,250 revolutions per minute, just shy of its 7,500 revolutions per minute redline, and its torque peak at 4,900 revolutions per minute. The Dodge, meanwhile, makes peak power at 6,100 revolutions per minute and its 475 pound-to-foot of torque at 4,100 revolutions per minute. In other words, the Challenger makes more power sooner than the Mustang does, with the latter car's weight advantage appearing only north of 100 miles per hour. Advantage to the Mustang as well when turning and stopping are involved. Its best 60 to 0 mile per hour stop was in just 99 feet, that's Corvette and 911 territory, though the Dodge posted a respectable but less consistent 102-foot stop. On Motor Trend's Figure 8, the Mustang managed a 24.2-second lap, averaging 0.80 grams, while the shakedown needed 25.0 seconds at 0.76 grams average, close enough that we suspect a bad driver in a Mustang could be surprised by a good one in a Challenger. If you're the type of enthusiast who only cares about the numbers, you're missing out on the tremendous joy the Challenger and Mustang can bring you in the real world. From the moment you fire up the Challenger and hear its pushrod V8 settle into that lopey idle, you're smiling. The car just oozes charm. I love the overt honesty of this car, Senior Features Editor Johnny Lieberman said. It's a big, dumb muscle car, and it's proud of that fact. It's called the Shakedown, and it actually shakes. Yank the T-shaped shift lever into drive, and point the big coupe down your nearest avenue. Bingo, you'll find yourself in the closest thing 2023 has to a time machine back to the late 60s and early 70s. While we miss the piercing wail, not to mention intense shove, of the Shakedown's supercharged Hellcat big brother, the naturally aspirated Hemi's guttural growl and higher RPM bellow aren't bad alternatives. It's the type of engine that makes you want to pull on every clear, straight section of roadway, which, our late-night ears detect, many Challenger and Charger owners do. Mustang drivers have a reputation of their own, but the 2024 GT does much to slide past them. Leaving delightfully juvenile antics, and showy stripes, okay, stickers, hood pins, and shaker hood scoops, to the Challenger, the Ford adopts a newfound maturity. Comparatively subtler in signaling its capabilities, the Ford nonetheless barks to life, at least before quickly settling into a quieter idle sans the vibrations that shake the Dodge. Neither too heavy nor too light, the clutch is everyday workable, and the shifter slots easily into gear. The pedals are well spaced for heel towing. There's none of that skip-shift nonsense GM installed in the rival Camaro, either. Overall, it's quite easy to putter along in the Mustang as you would in its Mach-E sibling. But hang into the throttle, and you're in for a treat. Ford's Coyote V8 feels almost exotic in comparison, far more reactive, and builds power in a more direct, exciting way, Associate Editor Alex Lenz said. The Ford's engine rewards drivers brave enough to watch the torque needle swing toward the car's 7,500 revolutions per minute redline with a late shove of torque that lasts all the way to fuel cutoff. The best part? You can keep your foot in it, stab the clutch, and grab the next gear, to let it all happen again. It's not quite as magical as the old flat plane crank-equipped Shelby GT350, but boy is it good. Point these cars up your favorite mountain road, or on-ramp, if you live in the flatter lands, and things get even more fun. Of the two, the Ford feels more like a modern sports car than a muscle car. The previous generation Mustang GT tended to buck and fight its driver when driven in anger, but it's easy to get in a flow with the new one. Chassis tuning is exceptionally good, with the Mustang's Magna Ride dampers working overtime to help the car remain poised, planted, and confidence-inspiring through bends. The Ford's brakes also bolster driver confidence. They're powerful and immediate, and despite hard abuse they showed no signs of fade, helping give the driver the courage to ring the Coyote for all it's worth. There's room for improvement with steering feel. Although some drivers like the Mustang's quick, light, low-effort helm, others on staff thought it felt digital and numb. Regardless, all agreed the Ford steering needed to do a better job at filtering up changing road textures through the wheel to the driver. We're not quite sure what Chrysler marketers had in mind when they first christened the Challenger back in 1970, but driving the Dodge in anger on a mountain road is certainly a challenge. While steering feel from the Dodge's helm is weirdly great compared to the Mustang's, the Challenger actively discourages drivers from taking corners with any semblance of speed. When hustled, the big coupe's nose washes out, and stabbing the brakes mid-corner usually further upsets the car. Those brakes fade fast, and after several corners the pedal travel grows longer and longer before your speed is meaningfully arrested. This is a big car that drives big. In other words, comparing the two cars' interiors is like comparing two different eras in automaking. The Challenger's cabin was last updated for 2015, while the Mustang's is all new, an altogether quieter, more modern place to be. Newer doesn't directly translate to better, though. The Ford is overly reliant on its twin dash displays, the left being the digital instrument cluster and the right being the main infotainment display, which controls everything from the AC and stereo to the Mustang's active exhaust system. These displays, while crisp, clear, and easy to use, surprisingly take longer than the Challenger's dated system to boot up, especially annoying when you're roasting in a hot car and waiting for computers to fire the AC. There's no such delay from the Dodge's physical buttons and knobs. Ford also likes to tout how customizable the Mustang is. To some extent, it is more customizable than the Challenger. When properly equipped, owners can pick one of 5 instrument cluster displays and mix and match LED accents, but the Challenger is more meaningfully customizable. Case in point, both cars let you set up custom drive modes, but the Ford annoyingly locks your suspension, steering, and stability control settings to whatever your powertrain setting, normal, sport, track, or slippery, is. You're left to pick the exhaust loudness level, gauge cluster, and color scheme. That's it. Dodge, meanwhile, is happy to actually let you set up a custom drive mode. Would you like track suspension, street powertrain, slippery escape tuning, and comfort steering? Eat your heart out. The Challenger will let you do so. Despite the Ford Mustang and Dodge Challenger going head-to-head repeatedly for generations, they're vastly different cars. The Dodge is a throwback to a rapidly fading era. It proudly flies the muscle car flag not just for yesterday's Dodge Charger and Challenger but also for the Pontiac GTO, Chevrolet Chevelle, Ford Fairlane, and all the other fallen greats, too. It makes you want to roll the windows down. Crank Aerosmith's Live cover of Train kept her rolling on the, frankly terrible, stereo, and enjoy the fleeting moment. The Mustang GT, on the other hand, feels like a product of the 21st century, modern, tech-forward, yet still delightfully anachronistic in its choice of power plants given the rest of its current competition resort to turbocharged 4- and 6-cylinder engines. Although it feels somewhat torn between the muscle and sports car camps, it's, for now, the last car standing. And thankfully, it's one we thoroughly enjoy driving more.
We have come to the end of the video. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel to help us.